Hi everybody.
Hi guys.
Myself and Laura are back again this week, and thank you for so much positive feedback from last week. We had a blast and we so loved doing these podcasts for you guys. So this week we're going to talk about kindness, and we just were having a conversation ourselves around that, and it's a topic that you hear the word a lot at the moment, and maybe for the last 6 months I've really paid attention to it. But I suppose it's around how we use that. And a lot of us can be really kind. Like, have you ever said to people, like, you're really kind, you're such a kind person? And there's a description we use about people.
Yes.
But oftentimes what happens is that we leave the I out of the kind.
Yes.
So we become really kind to other people and we do wonderful things. But sometimes we're the last person to be kind to ourselves. So, I mean, I think that's a huge topic to...
Oh, 100%. Again, like what you just said... You know, we're so harsh on ourselves, and it's that inner critic again. You know, when we do something, you know, people have often said, you know, would you say that to your child, or would you say that to your daughter, or would you say that to, you know, your friend? No, you don't. But we're sometimes a little bit unkind to ourselves and harsh with ourselves, you know. So
very much so.
And that's that kind of inner critic. So kindness really is, you know, similar to compassion, and you know, sometimes we lack compassion for ourselves and that kindness for ourselves.
Completely. And I remember, you know, growing up that we would be, if you were talking to somebody and you said something nice about yourself, and that was really another way of just being kind to yourself. The thing that you'd come back is, you're very big-headed, or God, you're above your station, or you need to come back. And well, in actual fact, it's really important for us to, you know, acknowledge the positive things in ourselves and the good things in ourselves. So now I'm kind of like, I'm really kind to myself. Like, I just I'm making up for all that last time. But I think it's so important, and I think how we describe that to other people and how we judge people, we should really rethink that. And go, do you know something? They're not being big-headed. They're actually being truthful about themselves. Now, unless you really know they're not a kind person and that they're just full of it. But that's a whole different podcast for that one.
Again, like as you just said, that kindness for yourself is self-worth, self-love, as I said a moment ago, self-compassion. And you know what, if we don't do that for ourselves, how are we expected to allow other people to do that for us? You know, so it's that feeling like what you give out comes back. And kindness, you know, out of all of the words out there, I feel that it's something when you do, it doubles, whether it's for yourself or for someone else. And what I mean by that is that chemically, and I know we always talk about chemicals and, you know, but chemically, when you do something kind for someone, what happens is oxytocin is released. And it's released from me, from my heart, and then the other person will actually pick it up and release oxytocin. And then if you witness kindness, you will also, so the outside person, so the third person will, you know, receive the oxytocin levels. How many people have watched YouTube videos with animals and and you see somebody stopping for, like, you know, letting the ducks pass or something. Do you know, like, that's kindness, and that will do something for us. And the feeling that it gives you is that oxytocin and serotonin levels. And I know we've talked about them before with other words, but kindness is beautiful and it's soft. And it's not that you expect it in, you know, okay, you expect it in your boss to be kind, but you don't need to give your boss doesn't have to give you a job because of kindness. So, but the kindness can come in through how we work and how we speak to people.
Oh, completely. And how we respect people and how we treat people and the tone of our voices. We've talked about that before. And how we make people feel by just our presence. And if we can get more familiar with our own system and how our energies work in there and how we feel in relation to that kindness, that automatically then starts to just resonate within yourself. You know, and people feel that and they're comfortable around that too. And we've talked a lot about change, you know, about people wanting to make changes in their life. And really, when you think about self-compassion and acceptance, that has a huge amount to do with it. And we can find that self-compassion for ourselves and acceptance of who we are and like those pieces of ourselves that in that space is where we can create that change.
Yes.
But if we're trying to change things in our life and we really don't like who we are, or we don't like certain things about ourselves, it's going to be very difficult to manage to change that.
Yes.
And to navigate through that.
Yes.
So the kindness, that self-compassion that you talked about earlier, is just so crucial to moving forward, just in your life in general.
Yeah.
Just for your own self, of honouring who you are as a human being and as a person.
Yes. Yes. You're right, because when we shine a light, and we had this conversation even last week, I know. But like when you shine a light on even like a part of your own personality, like the shadow side of your personality, or a part of your personality that you feel uncomfortable sharing, you know, even that part, if we can be a little bit more kinder and again accepting, then you can come back to being the true you.
Yeah,
and even get to know yourself from that aspect as well. So yeah, I think kindness it's not talked about very often, and it's not given, as I said, to ourselves very often either. Like why, like you do say to yourself, like, why does my inner critic, because as human beings we're naturally more critical, you know, that's just our negative bias, you know, unfortunately, that, you know, positivity and kindness doesn't stick as often as, you know, as that inner critic. So we'll kind of shoot for that giving out to ourselves, or like calling yourself a big idiot for hitting off the door or whatever, you know, instead of going, oh bless kindness, you know, it's okay, I'll be fine, I'll be grand.
Exactly.
So yeah, so
I think it's a lot to do too with our, you know, we talked too about subconscious, you know, that our memories and what's in our memory bank and just in our subconscious, and that it's our go-to.
Yes.
So automatically our response about ourselves, we could be really kind and we can develop that side of ourselves to other people.
Yeah.
But that kick, you know, that go-to for ourselves remains the same.
Yes.
So our messages that we have, like you talked about the negative self-talk, that those messages, we haven't changed those, even though we've moved forward in being kinder to other people, we haven't included ourselves in that process. And that's because our messaging is still the same. So we need to then be able to look at, okay, how am I going to be able to shift that for myself?
Yes.
And it's about taking the time out to really just observe your emotional responses to things. What makes you, like Laura said, when you give those examples and you see animals and you see people being kind to other people, or you see someone doing a random act of kindness, there is something inside you that is touched.
Yes.
So in those moments, being able to stop for a second and go, okay, what does that, because it actually feels nice.
Yes.
How do I get more of that?
Yes. But more of that, people.
Exactly. So you have to start to observe those moments.
Yes.
And no one else needs to know you're doing this, but it's you making a conscious choice that, oh my gosh, I'm actually in this moment, I'm going to actually think about this and see what it is that's making me feel this way, and how can I manage to navigate that more into my own life. And to do that.
And it's amazing because, like, even with chemicals in the body, you know that first bond with the mother and baby, that's that's your oxytocin at the highest level, and that's why people get gooey around babies and stuff, and as you said, people want more of that.
Completely.
So it's like, it's looking, you can do that for yourself by being kind, because as I said, it's the power, it's that point of power that you're in now, and that you can do that for yourself, and it's always choice. Like, how many of us have decided, like, on, you know, we're in 5 o'clock traffic and we're like, will I let that person out?
No.
Yes. That's where kindness, and then it's lovely. No, my thing is that I let so many people out, but if they don't say thank you, I'm like, where's the love?
I know.
But again, then I've lost my agenda, like, you know, then I've put an agenda onto the kindness. So it's like, you know, I just, in that moment, I allowed kindness. So that actually has served me, and that has tipped into that, you know, that oxytocin level, like, you know, and that bond, and even like communication, and, you know, what we all kind of missed over the last 18 months, you know, is that touch and that feeling, and that's all kindness as well, like, you know, so communication.
And just to clear up, like, I would let one person out at a time, but I would want them to say thank you. But I would let some out, but not a whole line of traffic, Laura, seriously. But anyway, like, if you think about in a work environment, when you have been in work or you're going back into work, how many times have you been in work where people are really stressed out and they're angry and they're frustrated? And you know, the ability to have that level of kindness can be really, really tough at times, because it's the last thing you're thinking of. But if you just even imagine any conversation in the last while you've had with somebody where you have been frustrated, and if you rethink that and go, if I had have responded differently, even through the use of the word, like my language, what I was saying, my tone of voice, how I presented myself, would that have made a difference? Those types of things are also a part of kindness, guys. It isn't just about kind, oh, you do good deeds. It's about the whole being, our whole sense of who we are and how we carry ourselves and how we can actually influence through that use of kindness in our daily lives, everybody else around us, but also the energy levels and stress levels. And we are mindful of that for other people as well as ourselves. But we can manage to control some of the reactions that are going on around us.
Hugely. Like, kindness is always in my power.
And I love that.
You know, and even I would be very conscious around my texts and stuff, you know, and I've always, like, you know, anybody who communicates with me, I'm always like, you know, I have a fabulous Monday, have a brilliant Monday. And it's mad, like, because I remember one of my clients, and she said, Laura, you don't know, she said, I was able to take my phone out once throughout my hectic job, and she said, your text light up my light, you know, for that day, and it put me in a lovely space. So you have a huge ripple effect, and it is like that, you know, stone in the water, like what you put out again ripples out. So you have a huge impact on somebody else's life, and it might be just a smile, a gesture, or a nice text or an email, you know. So I'm always saying that, and like for me, that's the power of words, and you know, so very much so,
And I think the key to this is that you can have that impact on somebody. But it's really important to understand how that works in your own system and make a conscious choice to do that. If you try to go out and go, I'm going to be kind today, now you'll be able to do it because there'll be a gesture that you can do or some situation. But if you want that to be a continual part of your life and your daily living, then you have to work on that. So you have to be consciously aware of that. All of the time. So that there's some days, if you're not, there's some days you'll go out and like, I'm going to have a good day today and I'll do as many things, and you come back and you go, God, I got none of that done today. Part of that is because you didn't take the time for yourself to actually be grounded in yourself to be able to move forward with it.
And again, it's a conscious, as he's just said, it's a conscious choice. So it almost becomes part of your default system, you know, that actually, you know, go, good morning, like, I know that is that's a huge part of my day. Good morning, everybody, or hello world is my big thing, and people hear that all of the time, and I see that has a huge impact. And they're small things, but as I said to you, with that ripple effect. But it is for me, it's beyond conscious now decision, because I've done it so much that it's actually part of my wording or my being now at this stage.
Do you know what I love though too? When you talk about the text messaging and you send a text and someone goes, God, you've no idea. And you wouldn't have necessarily intended for this to be the response. But they go, that made such a difference. Is that in those moments, like the response then, that you look at what response you have then and what that feels like for you. Because the feedback you get is what feeds you. Literally to go, oh, that was nice. That actually felt nice. I'm so glad I didn't intentionally do that. But that was really nice to get that response back. And it's the same type of emotion that you're going to feel.
And there's your oxytocin.
Exactly.
And then what you just said there, just like to finish that on, after reading that text, aren't you more likely to pay it forward?
Absolutely.
To pay it forward. So, you know, and I remember like listening to a podcast a long time ago, and they were saying like it takes one person, like one person in the 7 billion people on the planet, but one person, and those acts of kindness, like to do a gesture, an act of kindness every day. And I've seen it like on mindfulness charts and everything.
Absolutely.
But it works, and it's so real. So there is so much, you know, that you can do by becoming aware of your language that you use.
Totally. And I think that also with the kindness part is that there is a big part there is a big part of that when you know, you use it not just in work but in your daily life. So like personal experiences that you might have, relationships that you might have, bereavements that you might have, difficult situations within your own life. There are times when you really need to have that self-compassion for yourself and ask yourself the question, if this was somebody else and I was talking to them about something, what would I say to them? And I can almost guarantee you that you would be the kindest, gentlest person, and the use of your language would be very gentle for somebody. But then you might find that you're not like that with yourself. So it's those moments that we really need to be grasping onto. I am enough. I am enough today. I am the best parent I can be today. I am the best human being I can be today. And, you know, just recognize that in yourself. We've always done good stuff during the day. If sometimes we just don't remember because there's so many other things. But if we layer back our day, we can pick out the things that, you know, something, I did a really good job on that. I mightn't have got everything else done, but in that moment with that, I did the best I could do.
I so agree. And as you said, it's when you do those moments and then you go back and have a look and you say, yeah, actually that made me feel real good. You know, like really, really good. You know, I remember, like, you know, times where I remember I was in a shopping centre and I was up with the customer care and the person in front of me gave out to the girl, and I was just like, okay, bless. And I went up and I was next and I just said something to her like, you know what, it's okay. You know, they're obviously having a hard day, you know, bless. And because I did that, the next person behind me was really nice to her as well. And I just said, I love it. You know, it's just, I was aware of it and I knew she was aware of what I was doing. And I was like, So in moments, just moments, and we all have those moments.
Completely.
Just as you just said, acknowledging them within us and then realize that actually, you know, we have just secreted oxytocin and serotonin and dopamine and all of them. And guys, these are what keeps us healthy. This is you know, so we're talking about integral, like, biology and, you know, integral energy. It's like by doing this, you're actually helping yourself. As I said, you know, it's like a present that, you know, you're giving to somebody, but you're actually keeps on giving. But it's a present that in the moment, we're both actually being released, you know, those chemicals are being released. So, gosh, why wouldn't you? You know,
and it's free.
Yeah, and it's free. And also it's anti-aging and secretes DHEA and, you know, on the skin level. So it does, because what's happening is that because adrenaline is not flowing around the body, because you're angry and you're and then what happens is that you don't have all these enzymes coming up, you know, protecting you. So the enzymes calm down and then the DHEA in your body just starts to secrete. So anti-aging, kindness equals. there's always a silver lining.
Save you a fortune on cosmetics.
Where did I go with that? No.
Anyway.
But yes.
So maybe what we could think about, there's a quote that I love that I wanted to read today. Of course I pulled the wrong one, but anyway. No. Oh yeah. Today no, that's not it.
You have so many. That's all.
Have.
So,
here it is.
Here
it is. Sorry.
Okay.
This is what happens when you do it live.
Yes.
Like, really.
All good.
Today I bring to the parts of myself I do not like the gift of friendship. And I just love that, because I just feel like there's days that we particularly need that more than others. And it's important that you can have as many friends as you like, but you need to be friends with yourself. You need to like yourself.
Yes.
Best that you can.
Yeah. Yes. And you know, it's probably one of the hardest, Amanda. It's probably one of the hardest to do, because as we said a moment ago, you know, you would treat your child or your best friend, you'd give them so much more kindness and kind words. So it is something that we have to come back to the whole time and catch ourselves and choose to mind and be kind to ourselves.
Oh, completely. Yeah.
Brilliant.
So what we might do today, or what we will do today, is that maybe for those of you who want some kind of activity, is to just take a few minutes out to yourself and think about the things for the day or for yesterday or even plan to do tomorrow that you found that you did well for that day, and things that you like, you know, that you liked about yourself in that day, and start to just become more conscious and aware of that and see where that brings you then.
Yeah.
And maybe even to think about, are there things that I particularly don't like about myself? And you can jot these down on a journal if you have one. Just what are the things that I struggle with? And then, you know, look on the other side of the page and go, okay, is that actually true? You know, because that might be some old messaging that we have and the negative self-talk that actually doesn't serve you anymore and that you don't really need. So you want to be able to then flip that and just change that and, you know, create a new neural pathway in your brain going, no, actually, I don't need that message anymore. What I do need to replace that with is that I did a great job and that I am a good person. And start to build up your own sense of yourself.
Yeah.
Really, I think that's a key part of that.
Yeah. You know, Louise Hay, one of her favourite quotes is, I love and accept myself. I love and accept myself. Yeah. And that there's such power in that. And that power, you know, that point of power is right now. I love and accept myself.
And that goes back to the mantras.
100%.
You know, doing them. Find a mantra that works for you in relation to this. And just add that into your daily routine.
Yes.
First time when you wake up in the morning, then a couple of times during the day. If you're struggling, just remind yourself of these things. Even put little messages on your phone or like a timer.
Yes. And
just go like when you're going for a break or something, and the message underneath was, you've done it, you know, I am enough today, or I am this, or whatever you want to put in about yourself. And then you put that in there, and you actually see it then when you look at the timer, you know, you're switching off the phone. So I suppose that's for this week, I think. And then we really wanted to just end it with saying that we really wish you well this week, you know, and that you were able to explore around kindness and start to have conversations around that with your friends and your family and what that looks like and what people think about you. Like if you're asking your friends, you know, do I do stuff that's kind? You know, or what is it? And then they will start to help you see those things in yourself, because sometimes we do need that extra help. Yeah. So in the meantime, have a wonderful week and we shall see you again next week. Thanks a million.
Bye guys. Bye.